is ready to continue moving forward here over at Roll20 Esports. The battleground that has been chosen will be Dragonshire. Fnatic with the choice as Roll20 is electing to have first pick.
That's just mean.
Why is it mean, Caldor?
Fnatic just chose Dragonshire against Quacknix. So Quacknix actually, when he was on Fnatic, they usually banned out Dragonshire because Quacknix doesn't really want a shot call on the map. He just doesn't like it a lot. Then when Quacknix transitioned over to Zealots, now Roll20, the same thing happened. All of a sudden, Dragonshire was banned out all the time. In this particular instance, they banned Braxis though. But if you look at the performance over the duration of Phase 2 Part 1, they banned out Dragonshire 5 times. Obviously, something changed where they either said, okay, we're feeling a bit more confident heading into Dragonshire games right now, or they just despise Braxis so much that they're saying, yeah, we don't like Dragonshire, but we hate Braxis even more, so let's ban Braxis out. But that forces now this weird situation where Fnatic, the old team of Quacknix, fully knowing that Quacknix shot calls for the team, can pick the map that Quacknix disliked the most from a shot caller perspective against him.
All is fair in love and war. That is for sure here. As we'll be having Fnatic taking Quack to Dragonshire. But nothing changes yet in terms of bans. Sergeant Hammer banned immediately here for Roll20 Esports. She has become quite the thorn in the side for a lot of our teams.
To be honest, especially like the way that Hammer plays, it's one of these things when Gen G with Rich brought Hammer into the meta. It was a pick that was super interesting, that was a little bit hyper, everybody was like, okay, this is unexpected. But now that she's established as a very safe choice on the map, we are seeing a lot of teams that really don't want to deal with her because Hammer can be very obnoxious when you are up against an opponent that knows how to siege her properly.
She seems like a better Chromie, if that makes sense. Old Chromie, that was, where you're sieging away, feels like you just can't quite get onto the engage, there's too many safe tools. The ability to cleanse yourself and get that armor as well on Sergeant Hammer just makes it harder to dive into her. And plus, that cooldown is so darn low that messing with it just seems like it's a strategy you don't want to be near. We do have Medivh and Genji banned out here for Fnatic, Abathur as well for Roll20 Esports, and we'll have the first pick, Maev, who has made her way back into the meta the last few weeks.
So, Medivh banned out again. It's still interesting to me that we see this frequent Medivh bans, considering that Roll20 or the Zealots have not played Medivh once this season. They still can, but I would have actually expected Fnatic to be using Medivh a little bit more after what we've seen at the Western Clash. Here comes, by the way, the immediate pickup on Dehaka again, as we've talked about. It's one of those picks that for Last Hope has been a staple in Part 1 of Phase 2. And a very, very early Johanna. Not dealing with any kind of Muradin setup, but they definitely want to have the wave play on their front line.
A safe pickup too. Johanna brings the wave clear, but also deals with Maev well. You're able to drop down your unstoppable when she comes in for the cleave. You can actually sit in front of her and bully her out. Blind her too when she goes in for that tether, so it just naturally works here with the composition. So it actually makes sense here for it to be a first pick for Fnatic. Yrel and Whitemane comes out, second and third pick.
Still a bit torn on the early priority on Johanna. I want to see the rest of the draft to see what the idea here is.
Sure.
Because you're absolutely correct in everything that you stated about how she is good going into Maev here. But I think with Muradin still being around and no tank on the first rotation for the opponent, there was definitely a lot of tanks that you could have taken. And for Roll20, it's more or less impossible to zone you out. But now they're trying to play that game against Roll20. They're banning out Muradin. They have taken Johanna for themselves. Leaves Diablo as an option. Few more, of course. We've seen Anubarak in the last game, and that Anubarak and Yrel combo was something that has been played at the Eastern Clash in Korea a lot. Anubarak's low hit point pool can, of course, be mitigated a little bit by Yrel's armor, and if you then also have Maev in that composition, you all of a sudden have a massive, massive dive pump. Might be one of the things that Roll20 is considering right now.
Don't forget about Garrosh also for Obadoba. However, with Whitemane coming in, you don't really have any CC available to you. Sure, you get that slow naturally baked into your W Inquisition, but you don't really get the ability to put a root on until later on in the stages of the game, level 13, whenever you unlock that. So it could be seeing the Diablo instead, and actually there it is. Diablo and Raynor comes out for that 4th and 5th pickup. But on the left side, we got the Tracer coming in.
Yeah, Tracer for Schwimpy here. Now the question is, what is Mena going to get? Are we going to see, very likely we're going to see another mage, but what kind of variety is it going to be this time? Are we going to have Li Ming again? Maybe even, I mean, you could argue in favor of Jaina here as well. Junkrat, okay. Junkrat is the one here that always slips my mind. It has been true ever since the hero came into the game. Like, I have no idea why. Every time I'm looking at what are possible options for an opponent, Junkrat is the one that I never think about.
He's kind of a hidden secret in a way. Even in like his traits, like whenever he drops down concussive mines, he can always have that small moment where he just surprises you, and it's enough to get a kill. Obviously, he brings in the wave clear, the Riptire Assault as well, but he's one of these heroes that either looks decisively strong or looks like he's not quite bringing the pain.
It's just weird for me that I never think about Junkrat, especially just coming back from the Eastern Clash where we had a lot of Junkrat.
Yeah.
And then I look at a draft and I'm like, what could they pick here? And Junkrat is never a hero that crosses my mind.
You need to play more Junkrat. The moment you get that first knockback under a fort, you feel like a king.
I have a total blind spot on Junkrat. I don't know where it comes from. It's absolutely crazy.
All right, well, if you ever see Caldor in Hero League, just pick up Junkrat, take him down, blow him up.
Doesn't mean
easy victories.
Just because I can't up with the hero when I look at a draft doesn't mean that Junkrat actually insta wins against
It's an easy victory. Just go with it. Just do it. Let's go to game number 2 here for Dragonshire, and we'll see how Junkrat performs against Roll20 and Caldor.
Game on as we are heading into game number 2 with Breeze on Johanna this time. Shrimpy on his Tracer. Smexy with a Malfurion support to make sure that Tracer is able to get those shots in. Last Hope finds himself on Dehaka. And Mena, of course, on Junkrat.
On the right side in the red, Roll20. Quatnix on Maiev, Robodoba on Diablo, Zarmi on Yorella, Chris on Raynor, and Shad to show off Whitemane for the first time here in Europe.
White Rain, as we said before, was banned in Korea actually quite a bit, so I really want to see how this is going to come into play now for the European scene. Martyrdom taken as the level 1 talent here on the side of Whitemane. So it's all about the desperation plea, the Q.
This has been a pretty standard build that you've been seeing from teams or players that have been playing in Hero League, moving straight into the Desperation Plea, talenting into it. Later on, whenever you do proc that Desperation, you'll be able to get a shield on yourself, so making it a little bit hard to dive onto her, which is a little bit on the frustrating side. Very similar to Kayn. Whenever you try to dive that target, much more tanky than you would think.
I've seen a couple of builds for this, but yeah, we talked actually on the way here earlier about this particular build, but also Clemency as a level 1 talent sometimes can be quite strong, where it gives you a little bit more control over the heals with Inquisition. But yeah, the Triade Zeal, this is definitely something that we have to watch out for. And also the route that we have available for her, very similar to what you oftentimes will see with Stukov, very reliable as well. That's something to watch out for, especially, of course, on Tracer's side, if at any point Chad is able to make that connection.
Night Camp being grabbed early here for Roll20 Esports. Fnatic, they are sniffing it out. Here comes Breeze, sharking in from the top right corner, comes in with the Condemn. Shwimpy's here as well. Fnatic's brought the entire party.
What a beautiful invade. They might even get the kill here, not quite. Shwimpy, is he gonna fall? Quatnix tries to maybe thinking about going in. Shwimpy is gonna die here, but they still get the camp. As long as they can move away with Last Hope, they're gonna be fine. Junkrat making sure that at least Diablo is pushed away from this one. Zarmany is not going to be able to create an opportunity here, so they trade a Night Camp for the Trace alive. Absolutely worth here from Fnatic's point of view, but Shwimpy a bit too aggressive, a bit too deep, a bit too greedy, trying to get that extra kill. Could have moved away after securing the camp without any problem whatsoever, but him trying to chase down Whitemane just helped Roll20 to close in and, yeah, reinforce the situation.
It gave time for Robodoba to flank around, come in around the corner, find the target he was looking for, and happened to be Tracer, who had used all of her blinks. And with that all being said and done, Roll20 Esports do lose their Night Camp, but they jump up a little bit in experience here, 4.25 to 4 of Fnatic. Not too far behind, though. Fnatic will be able to close that gap easily. So we're going to have control of the Shrines, moving over to Roll20 Esports. With Breeze standing firm in the middle lane, should be able to lose the Dragon.
And when it comes to Whitemane, we're of course going to focus on her a little bit here today whenever she comes into the draft and into the games. We're now seeing on level... nice attempt here to go onto Mena by Robodoba, but it's actually Smexy that gets flipped over. But Whitemane continuing with a desperate plea focus here with the talents on level 4. We have now the Unwavering Faith taken. So elevates a little bit of the mana problems that you sometimes have with her.
One of the things about Whitemane, she just laughs so much, dude. She's a maniac. Just constant laughter. More than Lunara. Listen to it. Just constantly coming at you.
It's an annoying laugh.
It is an annoying laugh. Like, I'm happy she's enjoying herself.
Yeah, I mean,
but like...
It reminds me of yours.
My laugh is fine.
To be honest, the best laugh is still Junkrat. Junkrat is by far the best.
You can't just attack me like that and then switch it up.
It's just friendly banter.
Ugh. Ugh.
Come on, give me a hook.
Nope, I'm not laughing for the rest of this podcast. I'm done. I'm gonna start sobbing from now on when I laugh at something. Just start crying.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
Okay. Well, Robodoba gets knocked off. One of the great tools for a Junkrat player is being able to control a shrine. Being able to drop down those traps consistently makes it hard for Robodoba to move in. Also on top of that, with the roots coming out there, so he has to be careful and make sure he has someone near him at all times to make sure he has an escape route.
The thing is that Roll20 just has such an aggressive draft here with them controlling Diablo, Urel with the armor for Diablo, and then also Maiev on top of that. That Fnatic really has to dance around that. And I really like the macro calls from Fnatic so far. The invade onto the night camp was absolutely beautiful. Them just reading the map, reading exactly what their opponent was doing in that situation. But in this spot where we are in right now, I really feel they could have trouble in teamfights later on.
Speaking of teamfights, I'm thinking about the level 10 here for White Mane. You have Aegis, of course, which provides you a solid heal to all 5 team members that are nearby, and also gives you armor if you do group up enough. But you also have the Divine Reckoning, which you've seen mixed in a few times if you're trying to look for that extra damage and zoning potential. What do you think we'll get here from White Mane? Is it? Yeah, I don't know.
I just talked to production, so that
Yeah?
was actually a great timing to ask me a question.
What heroic do you like for White Mane, Mr. Caldor?
I'm actually a little bit torn on the heroic because so far I really like Scarlet Aegis whenever you have any kind of fight like force onto a position, especially when we're talking about Infernal Shrine, for example. Divine Reckoning is also fine, but of course one of the problems with that is you have a 100-second cooldown. So if you don't get the value once you use it, then you are just down for nearly 2 minutes. So personally, I feel like Scarlet Aegis, when you can force the fights, is definitely worth it. And with Maiev being in there, I think that's probably going to be a great choice for them.
Speaking of fight being forced, Fnatic's trying to force the issue here in the bottom right corner, but Robodoba is nice and healthy, getting healed up from Shad. Fnatic in a 5v4, unable to get the pick they were looking for, and we're in a position where they may have lost their Dahaka. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Urel continues to push.
And this is a pretty tough push here for Fnatic to deal with, because them rotating down with the Haka is actually one of those situations where you have to get some kind of value out of it. And they didn't. So they all of a sudden started to lose experience at the top, and now Roll20 has taken that lead in experience for themselves, have taken another camp at the bot lane. They are now getting all the XP here in the middle as well. Cleaner calls from Roll20 here in the mid game.
And they are. Another engage here in the middle. Shroom is able to blink out, but the Shrine is under control from Fnatic, so they can move in for the Dragon if they would like. Quack and crew already setting up to defend them, though, as they buy time for their teammates to finish the night camp in the top right. Zarmi will be able to grab that, but 10 right around the corner for both of our teams.
Breeze again here in the middle, controlling that at least for now, but down to the bot lane, a 3-man, trying to push that in. Shad the entire time with the Lash is trying to find a bit of value here, but so far Fnatic has been dodging that out a lot. Shrimpy at this point still skirting the edges of every single fight here. Here comes the engage though with a disc, as we're seeing that moving in. Scarlet Aegis has been picked up on the side of White Mane. They're going for Smexy and they get their kill against Malfurion as Robodoba even pops Lightning Grab.
Quick pick, and Zarmi's trying to buy some space here on the top to finish controlling this Shrine. Unable to grab it, Last Hope is standing firm, but Fnatic is going to be having to deal with this Night Camp pushing in the top lane. Mane will rotate over to deal with that. As we buy time for Malfurion to come back in the field, he'll be here in about 3 seconds, and Roll20 unable to grab both Shrines. But they do grab the Night Camp instead, so at least they have a push going for them.
Yeah, we have 2 kills against 0 now in favor of Roll20, and to be absolutely honest, I'm coming back to the original issue. How do you kill anything here if Roll20 can force 5 versus 5 fights onto you? There are Isolation and Blessed Shield CCs available to you now, so that's at least something that Fnatic can use, but I feel it's still going to be tough if these 5 versus 5 fights keep to be forced upon them. So Roll20 has a very good setup when it comes to that. Now in the later stage of the game, especially the Haka, of course, can with an opened up map try and play the macro game here and play around them. But I'm very curious to see how Fnatic is going to find these kills.
It really comes down to both Schwimpy and Mane there. Junkrat, Riptire, and the ability to drop that Pulse Bomb on one target is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
But you have resistance there for a Rainer on a level 4. You have that built-in tankiness for White Mane as well with a level 4 pickup coming in. It is going to be a very difficult task. Feels like finding a number advantage is one of the best ways Fnatic can do that.
I mean, even the Scarlet Aegis can be used to counteract Riptide or anything else. If your opponent burns a heroic cooldown, you might as well do the same thing if it helps you to stay alive here. Because outside of those engage tools for Fnatic, it's going to be tough for them to get these kills. They can try and set up flanks with Johanna and Dehaka, going in with the Blessed Shield and Isolation combo, and then focus on that one target. But who's the target going to be? Either you go for Reyna, Whitemane, or you go for Maiev. Those are the three that they have probably the best chances of taking down, but it's definitely not going to be easy for them. Roll20 is still maintaining that slight lead in experience, but at the top lane we should see Ralph focusing out that the solo lane. And again, Shrimpy under pressure and forces him back immediately.
This is completely chunked. Diablo into the wall with Chris fall from auto attacks. You see him down to a quarter health. Has to use Blinks defensively. Robodoba actually coming in for another combo. Gets the toss. We'll put him here on the side, but Shrimpy turns around, puts the damage out. This might be the chance for Fnatic to try and secure a kill. But look at Robodoba, so tanky.
Yeah, Blessed Shield, and immediately the Riptide afterwards. They're trying to go for him, and that should be a kill. No, it's going to be a close one. They get it, and the isolation comes in, and now maybe another drag here. Shad is already a little bit low. Is trying to escape, and we're seeing them go in deep. Fnatic not able to secure that second kill, but definitely forcing Quacknix and Shad way back and top up at the fountain.
I mean, the first one was a struggle as well. Barely getting the kill on Diablo, had to put everything out just to kill him. But the good news is now they've reset the souls for Diablo, so now they actually have a squishy target in the front line they can continue to focus. Zarmany gets caught in mid-transit as he heads to middle lane, but he was just trying to push in the top lane and buy some time.
And Diablo also, besides the fact that he was already on 4 souls, has Soul Shield on level 1, so of course he was super tanky in that setup. But you could see how much it really took to kill him. He had Blessed Shield first thrown out, then Mena followed it up immediately by pushing him back with a concussion grenade, and then they went in with everything they had to set that one kill up. If they can do that again, that would be great, and it definitely gave them some momentum, but they haven't even gotten a Dragon Knight out of yet. They got a little bit of map control though, and that helped them to rotate over to the Knight camp and now start pushing through the top lane with it.
Bit of a testament to how well both these teams are controlling the map right now, and no Dragon coming online for either of them. It's been a lot of rotations between the Knight camps, the Giants as well.
Also, now on level 13, we have what we talked about earlier on Whitemane, Harsh Discipline taken on the side of Shad, and that's really the important one. So every single time when you're hitting a hero with Searing Lash while they are targeted by the Inquisitions, roots are going to come in place. It's very, very similar to the mechanic that sent us around Stukov. So you're trying to get that lockdown, and if you happen to get it against Tracer, that would be the absolute dream here. Containment Disc already coming out, as we're seeing both teams going for a bit of an aggressive play at the top lane. Whitemane trying to get the root here against Last Hope. Not quite working out for him though. And at the bottom of the map, Junkrat has now taken at least one shrine, but already a rotation happening from Reyna. Very nice move though on the side of Reyna here, moving safely around. So Chris not going directly down, that would have brought him directly into a sandwich between Shrimpy and Mena. So Chris definitely playing the safer game here and survives because of it.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you learn about Reyna when you're playing him. Sure, you dish out a lot of damage, but if you ever do get caught out of position, in a 2v1, you are just destroyed and wiped off the map. So Chris, playing it careful, playing it slow, making sure that if he's not near teammates, he is, of course, near structures. But Fnatic is on their way towards level 16, but Roll20 is beating them to the chase right now.
Exactly.
15.5 already, and they're working on a 4th.
Roll20 has done really well at the top lane. They cleared out the opponent's Knight camp a lot better. And you can really tell that Fnatic is just having trouble finding any kind of engagement and kills that are in their favor. So right now, Roll20 is way more dominant on the map itself. Fnatic, if they find a rotation and can get a quick kill, then they always gain back map control. But especially Shrimpy has to be so careful. He's going up against Quacknix with a tether. He's going up against Whitemane, who now has the Harsh Discipline on level 13. Diablo is there. There's a lot of CCs available on the side of Roll20 that really hurt. And of course, the auto attacks on Reyna. Definitely a huge problem for Shrimpy as well.
And he's got to rely on Mane to make sure he brings in those grenades, but also gets the Riptide to help Tracer chase down a target when they do finally commit. But they have to wait for cooldowns to get burned, as you just mentioned. Fnatic on their side, starting to hit 16 now, and you're seeing some talents come online for them. Important for them to continue moving forward. On Dehaka, looking like he's going to move into the elongated tongue, so looking for a little bit of extra range. Can give you the ability to find that one pick you're looking for. But speaking about Dehaka, top lane, he is under some siege as Robodoba comes in with Zarmany. Here's a Maiev 2, and Fnatic loses another.
Was absolutely no chance of Last Hope surviving there as the rotation came in. Smexy is trying to get a Dragon Knight out of this, but it's just not enough time. The Shrine at the top lane has already been taken over here. The situation is still the same though, and while we're talking about white main, we still have the focus into the Desperate Plea, by the way. Radiant's now taken as the level 16 talent, so once you hit those 3 stacks of Desperation, all allies with Zeal get an additional heal boost. The numbers that white main can push out with this, especially during a team fight, are absolutely fantastic.
And quick, too. That's the great thing about the Desperate Plea, is it does actually have a cooldown. It burns into, of course, your mana pool, thanks to the trait and mechanics she has available to that. But yeah, you can definitely burn out that healing quickly and, of course, put yourself in a nice, safe spot. Fnatic continues with the rotations, but Roll20 is starting to pull ahead pretty well. 17.5, Giants coming in. Robodoba has also gotten a decent amount of souls available back on him compared to what he had in his kill earlier, sitting at 78 out of the 100 he needs.
And at the top lane, the fort has nearly been destroyed by Urel just continuously pushing that in. So Zarmany is having a good time against Last Hope here. Quacknix found in the middle of the map by Breeze and Schwimpi. Eats a bit of damage, but it's just not enough to really force a kill there. And again, the amount of CC that we are seeing on Roll20 is just crazy. The containment disc also being part of that. Now Diablo is taking bot shrine. In the meantime, we have Dehaka starting to claim control of top, but the rotation is already there. And Last Hope has to be very careful so that he doesn't fall again. He's already a little bit too close to home. Quacknix, Chris, and Shadow are already waiting, and all of them are starting to move in. And that's Last Hope again in trouble. Nice dodge on the leash, though. Very well done. The root comes through on Chad's side as Breeze is moving in, and there's the immediate move against Whitemane, and they actually get the kill.
Really quick Blessed Shield, and now Quacknix is trying to get away. He'll use his Bolt, be able to move out thanks to his teleport as well. Lightning Breath comes out, though, and Johanna will get burned.
Yeah, Mene wasn't there. He was still at the bot lane. Is trying to get the Dragonite right now, and they are holding it not long enough. Last Hope is again in, and he is once again completely isolated. What started with a quick kill against Whitemane turns against Fnatic and makes it a 2-for-1 in favor of Roll20.
Retires here. Zarmany comes in, will squash it like a bug. Gives time for Chris to step up, and finally Fnatic has to back away from this top shrine.
Fnatic has to just control their calls a little bit better. If they want to take the team fight at the top lane after they get the kill against Whitemane, they need to rotate Mene in. But Mene was trying to get the bottom shrine and then going for the objective. So Fnatic's idea was, hey, we hold top long enough for you to grab the DK, but that didn't quite work out. And if you look at the status of the game now, we have 5 kills for Roll20, only 2 for Fnatic, and level 19 versus level 18 in favor of the former Zealots. So this is a pretty annoying situation for Fnatic to be in. They find occasional kills where they lead with the Blessed Shield and then they jump onto Whitemane or anyone else. But overall, it's Roll20 that just runs the show here.
And they're setting up for a dragon, too. They're building up towards it. They have a Night Camp pushing in the top lane, which allows Urel to leave that top lane, allow for that to push in naturally.
They have level 20 any second.
Yeah.
So it's even worse. And with the fort at the top lane destroyed, Last Hope also can't move in. He doesn't really have an escape available to him once the rotation comes in. If there wasn't this much CC on the side of Roll20, he could always burrow away. But nearly every single hero on that lineup has something to interrupt his burrow once that he comes through. So Dragonite is taken, Roll20 is a level ahead. Fnatic is just suffering from the draft that they have here. It's just not comparable to what Roll20 has brought onto the field.
First dragon, 16.5 minutes, comes on out, and Roll20 will start to clean up some infrastructure. Fort already down in the top left corner, but they have a middle fort they can start to take out, and they already have the rest of Roll20 in the bottom lane. But here comes the Tire as Schwimpy moves in. He gets chunked down to barely any health, and with the help of the Riptire, you only put Chris down to half health, but here's Shad to heal him up.
Yeah, and that was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Chris just moved in and chunked him down. Tracer really suffering here, and just not getting numbers out at this point. So, Roll20 is in a spot where they are now in just a dominant position, but they haven't won this game by a long shot yet. Fnatic has found continuous kills with a setup through Breeze and his Blessed Shield. So, if they can again get that kill against Reyna or against Whitemane, then they are in a position where they can, with good macro decisions, definitely start to gain some momentum on the map and also secure a few objectives for themselves. Last Hope definitely starting to run the global a lot more actively, being at the top lane now, pressuring the fort. They get level 20, and that gives them a lot of tools where they can try and get these kills. So Roll20, in my personal opinion, still in a favorable position thanks to the draft and the 5 versus 5 prowess that they have. But Fnatic has already found a few of these isolated kills, and if they can find another one, they can definitely gain momentum.
And 3 important level 20s come online for Fnatic 2 here as they hit 20. Cannonball for Junkrat, helping out with the damage. Radius, of course, of base attacks and frag grenades help with putting out that damage. And of course, just getting the reset in level 16, those endless nades. Then you have Get Stuff coming online for Tracer. So if you do find someone low enough that you can blow up, she can help secure that kill. And then, of course, the big pickup for Dehaka at level 20. Contagion coming online. Naturally, you're seeing Whitemane and Rainier being next to each other. If you can find one more target to be a little bit closer and get a 3-man isolation, that's where that Riptire can come in there and help clean up somebody and get a kill.
Roll20 is really starting to target Last Hope. They've done that several times now, where they made a rotation with 2-3 heroes towards the top lane and hope that Last Hope oversteps so that they can pounce on him.
Yeah.
He's starting to play a lot more safe and defensive, and that allowed also Fnatic now to get another camp at the bot lane. But here comes that flank already, and Zarmini, if he makes it engage, jumps away. But if he made the engage, then especially Dehaka needed to move in, and he does it anyway. So Dehaka is already on the move straight into this. Indestructible is now being picked up by Breeze as well for Johanna. Was hesitating for a long time on the heroic ability.
Robodobo was trying to get a pick on Tracer, but she was able to step away. And coming back to that point with Last Hope, I mean, that's just the life of a side laner. It's one of the things that you have to realize when you do play side lane, is whether or not the opponent is starting to focus you. And if they do as Last Hope here did, play defensive. That's okay. You don't have to get every single ounce of experience. Your job at that point is to stay alive and make sure those minions don't get on top of your forts, get on top of your turrets, and destroy them.
At this point, though, we have is definitely a situation where they have to deal with the top lane. That's what they're doing right. So this is, it's a pretty slow game, just simply because Fnatic realizes that they have a tough time taking 5 versus 5 fights. The draft is just not in their favor when it comes to that. So Fnatic is playing extremely passive. That makes it difficult for Roll20 to force any kind of battle, since Fnatic is rotating very much around them whenever those shrines are up. Schwimpy being attacked here. Nice drag against Quacknix. That was a good one by Last Hope. He's thinking about going for the Contagion here. Hasn't dropped it just yet. Tries another lick against Zarmini. And Fnatic all of a sudden finds a situation in which they can engage. And they're trying exactly that. Containment comes out. Here comes the Blessed Shield. And immediately Whitemane popping hold.
Chad with the big heals and the armor. But Fnatic keeps moving forward. But here's Chris coming from the side. Lightning Breath to slow them down so he can dish out the damage. Here comes a few auto attacks. But on the front line, Robodoba having a difficult time. He gets locked down. He gets CC. No, he is fine. He gets off a Fire Stomp.
Just kidding. Diablo still alive here, but still the nades coming through. Robodoba surviving. Diablo just still that god that he is, the Lord of Terror with a terrifying presence on the map. As Dehaka is moving down to the bot lane. Already heroes in the middle present. They can get a Dragonite here. Easy peasy. No one around to actually interrupt that. With Robodoba forced back to heal up at the Nexus. Zarmini actually gets it. Wow.
Zarmini getting up there just in time. Will deny the dragon from Fnatic. And that was an important stop, too. Look at that bottom 4. It's actually halved out. They could have moved him for a keep.
I didn't even see that he had the time to go up there in just in the nick of time to make that happen. Good job by Roll20, though. I actually expected Fnatic to even leave someone up to the top and just delay it for a little bit, but that didn't really happen. But you could see in the last fight, if Fnatic gets a few hits in, they can try and take these fights. It's just initiating into a full HP 5-man is really not what's gonna do well for them. But Robodoba surviving there was just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, in particular, him getting the wall stun there once again, that was a huge part of that. Getting those stuns in, seeing the heroes for just a bit and dodging so out on some of the damage was huge.
It also showcases how difficult the Dehaka life can be. We had the drag connect with Maiev, and he went to fall open into isolation afterwards on top of her, but she bolted it, and that made sure it didn't get transferred over to other members of Roll20. And that was 2 possible kills Fnatic could have had, and it all comes down to getting those lockdowns. Now, of course, on their side, Roll20 is doing a really good job making sure those are not connecting, but the possibility is there for Fnatic.
Schwimpy not panicking here. Not going for a rewind, just simply darting out, and that helped him. But it was a nice setup from Robodoba. I really like the way that he's now anchoring a lot of these plays and creating opportunities by waiting for a wall stun and making that happen. But Fnatic is starting to push up a little bit. They realize they have to at least create some space here, and so now they can push in. Urel has shown at the top lane. Another attempt to go for Robodoba. Again, the push back by Mena. But that was a big cooldown that got burnt here. I'm not quite sure it was really worth it. Robadoba already getting a bit low. Once again, White Mane with a Scarlet Aegis being used here as Breeze is trying to control Quacknix on his Maya.
Here comes Zarmon. He comes in with the jump, gives out the armor. The Pulse Bomb that gets stuff hits, but Diablo stands firm. Another huge Fire Stop comes out, but Diablo finally will get picked off. And next, it's a Maiev. Last Hope comes in with the drag. Will he have another one here as he works in those auto attacks? Zarmon in the bottom left uses Ardent Defender.
Quacknix nearly taking down Breeze and Last Hope here, but they both survive. Zarmon, on the other hand, he's already in trouble. They're trying to go for him again, and that should be a kill against Urel. The double kill. Diablo is back to business, but has lost his souls, and now that Urel is down, Dehaka immediately moves up to the top lane, starts taking that shrine. Fnatic finally found that engage that they were looking for, and this is very likely going to be a Dragon Knight for the blue team.
It only takes one pick. Fnatic moves in, gets the channel. Breeze looking for the dragon, and there she is. 23 minutes in, and this dragon's going for bottom lane.
But in the last fight, you could really tell how Maiev was chunking them down. Quacknix was under so much pressure and simply turns around and gets his Qs in, one hit after another, and is able to make sure that he nearly gets a double kill there. And Fnatic just has to back off, but they still had Urel as a fallback option and went for her. But this is a 23-minute Dragon Knight, and that thing hits like a truck. So right now, Fnatic trying to at least get a keep out of this.
Now watch Junkrat here. He's going to keep dropping these cannonballs as much as he can on the path of where the dragon is going, and hoping to get a couple of resets on his level 16. This also buys space for the Dragon Knight to continue hitting the keep. And that keep is falling down to half health underneath the quarter. The big lightning breath coming out for the music with it. A little ridiculous.
El Mariachi.
Yes, there it is. He needs to put a sombrero on when he does that, honestly. We do have the constant poke coming in, but Fnatic, after getting through this lightning breath, will turn their attention to finishing off this keep.
I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't go a bit deeper and just simply hammer the keep down there. Probably still thinking about potentially going for a core here, just looking for a kill. And yep, the Dragon Knight is already moving forward, trying to get a few hits in, and that's all of a sudden something that Roll20 has to react to immediately. Those shields are gone within seconds, but Breeze has to move out. Dragon Knight just not healthy enough, and now they find themselves in the back foot. So that is a slow retreat that they have here, because Roll20 is going to try and chase them down. 97% on the core. And Fnatic is still looking for a chance to fight here, especially against that soulless Diablo.
Last Hope is looking for that drag. If he can land that, move straight into the isolation and have a Blessed Shield, that could be a dead target. Even Zarmony himself could fall before popping that Ardent Defender.
I'm not sure if I like that siege, though.
This is very similar to what you saw in game number 1, where you're asking about these core calls. This is a scenario where we wonder if Fnatic is going to try and pull back, or if they're just going to try and force it.
I mean, they have Junkrat, so they're apparently thinking that with Junkrat alone, they can just siege up. If they go for Quacknix now, maybe the drag is in. Here comes again the Lightning Shield. The Blessed Shield comes out too, but also the Containment Disc of Maiev has been used here as they're trying to go for the kill. Roll20 is willing to engage into that battle. Breeze is low, and Smexy is for most of the time outside of the range of the Tranquility. They're turning it around again, trying to get the kill against Harmony. And Mane is just shelling away from that backline with Junkrat.
Trippy is waiting for someone to overstep so he can drop that Pulse Bomb and move straight into the get stuff, but nobody steps over for Roll20 Esports. They will successfully defend. They do lose 3% on their core.
Look at these waves in the mid and the top lane. They're absolutely insane. Fnatic has to deal with that at some point, but they're taking the camp away first. Now starting to retreat here. Dehaka's taking the top. Huge amount of experience, first of all. But of course, you need to alleviate the pressure from your gates too, and that's where Mane comes into play, at least when it comes to the middle of the map.
All right, so we have made it to 26 minutes on a Dragon Fire. We have had only a Dragon for each team once, so a total of 2 Dragons, and we have a Shrine activating in 15. This Dragon will end the game, most likely for either of our teams are able to grab it as we move to the late game. So both teams are desperately setting up to get their waves pushed in.
Roll20 has to be really careful. The bot lane Siege Giants pushing through with catapults 26-27 minutes into the game. They would chunk down that core so quickly that Roll20 is going to be forced to react to the bot lane pressure. So Fnatic can actually try and play the game around the top shrine instead. And if they do that, the bottom lane is always going to find value. Mane is already getting the channel right here. Dehaka is playing very passive towards the top because Roll20 is hiding in vision, or in fog, so no vision at all for Fnatic right now. But as soon as they are now seeing everyone at the bot lane, the rotation towards the top is going to happen right away. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
I like that you brought up that they can focus on the top lane. It's because that's why they grabbed the Giants in the bottom left and the bottom right, to make sure there was no way for Roll20 to offset that pressure from the catapults coming in.
Yeah.
Sure, they can move them for the night camp, but that should be cleaned up by catapults pretty naturally. You have Dahaka, you can peel back if you need to. You can look at taking the fort in the top right corner. This entire play screams macro play from Fnatic and puts Roll20 in a bit of a weird spot. Now, Roll20 goes for the easy play here. They grab the night camp on the bottom to have that slow down that bottom lane push that you were mentioning.
And also now another fort falls at the top lanes. That was well done by Fnatic here. They shifted everything up to the top. Now, it doesn't matter too much at this point, but it's definitely Roll20 losing out on another anchor point that would help them to be a bit safer if there is a fight towards the top shrine. And look how deep Dahaka goes with this. Dahaka actually is starting to push the wall, but he needs to be very careful and, okay, move back to Hearthstone, back to the Nexus. Super important for him to make that play. But that camp is still pushing through the top, and it's a massive wave that is with the camp. So they're going to lose out on the top wall at the keep for sure.
Roll20 will put back Urel to work on clearing up that night camp. That signals to Fnatic they can grab the bottom shrine, and they will grab it. The rest of Roll20 is already grouping up as 4 and rotating to the top. So you can assume safely, if you're Fnatic here, there's either two things happening. Either A, they're going to grab the shrine in the top lane, or they're going to be grouping up in the middle. And you see everyone being careful. Johanna leading the charge, making sure not to get spotted out before they finally see Chris in the top lane.
This is one of these games where the entire time, if you're Fnatic, you know that in those team fights, you have a tough chance to making anything happen, but they're looking for opportunities. They're super patient. Roll20 is trying to force fights, is not finding them right now. So it's a huge dynamic here between the two teams, where both of them played extremely safe. And we don't, by the way, see anything of these difficulties that Quacknix had shot calling on this map in the past. He's doing a fantastic job here with this team, but they're still behind since they lost the bottom keep. And we're nearly 30 minutes into the game. If those catapults at any point get onto the core, then Roll20 is doomed. And Fnatic is just using their global, is using Dahaka to the maximum of his abilities. It's so important that they have that hero here. It's literally what makes the difference for them at this point.
Both teams trying to condition each other to do certain routes, and that way you can try and switch it up and maybe find a pick here. But so far, Last Hope has done a really good job of making sure not to be caught out. That top right push he had earlier. Here's a fight here in the top as Lightning Breath pops up, but Fnatic, they just walk away.
Yeah, and bottom lane catapults are soon going to push onto the core. And again, we're 30 minutes into the game. So now Roll20 has to retreat. They can't stand this. Look at how these beasts are chunking those shields. They need to send someone back, and now Fnatic can rotate top. That's 3 catapults. They're just obliterating that core. The core just lost 50%, more than that. They're just absolutely chunking that thing, and this is the beauty of having 30 minutes minions in the game. Fnatic can just play this style for the rest of the game, and they'll win.
Those catapults were not throwing rocks. That was tough. Throwing boulders from the last airbender, destroying that core as it continues to get low. 38% left here for Roll20 on their core. They have to force the issue.
There's another catapult moving through the top bot lane. Fnatic only has to keep them here. It's all they have to do. Don't die, but you don't have to engage. There's the threat of a Dragonite in the mid lane, but catapults are amassing at the bottom of the map once again.
That there are two already grouped up. Urel gets caught here with the drag, and she is down. Roll20 is in a 4v5, and they have to fight now. They gotta win a team fight, and then they have to deal with the catapults. But Fnatic is not giving them a chance.
The Winions are on the core, and that should be all she wrote. Quacknix is already on the way back, but it's too late. The core should fall here. The minions are trying to clear it up, but that's just not happening. GG as Fnatic takes the 2-0 in this game.
A long game, but similar things that we saw in game number 1. Fnatic playing the patient game. However, I gotta say, Roll20 able to hold it in there well. It just that global pressure started to become an issue. And then when you add on top of that, the catapults coming in constantly, there's so much room for error, and you saw it destroy their core.
I'm actually impressed by the way that Fnatic played this, because in my opinion, again, they straight up lost the draft. The one saving grace was the Dahaka pick because you had the global. But in every single team fight, or in most of the team fights, you saw that they had huge problems to make anything happen here. So from their perspective, they looked at the game and were like, okay, how do we win this? They always tried to look for isolation kills. They found a few against Greymane, they found a couple against other heroes too, where they could flank, they had the Blessed Shield. But especially within fights, the whole idea was, and that was the last pick, Junkrat, by the way, they lead with a Blessed Shield, and then it's always Mane pushing the target back once, twice, just trying to create an opportunity for a kill. And it was incredibly difficult for them to pull it off. But I feel that last pick saved the draft a little bit, the Junkrat pick, because they already had Dahaka. But with Junkrat, they got even more wave clear. So they looked at the opponent's draft and said, guys, in a 5 versus 5, 9 out of 10 times we're screwed.
Yeah, we're not winning.
So
the fight.
let's play the wave clear game, play around them, use the global, and once that they got the keep at the bot lane, at that point they knew if we don't die and we just use the Haka, we should win this because we can just let them chase us the entire time, and as soon as the minions scale even more, the bot lane is always going to pressure, and that's what eventually won them the game here. So the patience that they've shown and the understanding of how much of a problem teamfights would be for them, that really is something where I say, okay, in part 1 of phase 2, they would have forced a needless fight somewhere.
Yeah.
Would have lost a hero or two.
It would have gone hectic for sure.
It would have panicked at some point, and then they lost. So the game was a lot closer than a lot of people might have expected. But given the draft, I think they played it quite nice.
Fnatic, playing admirable, basically, is what Caldor's saying here.
Yeah, but Zealots also, I mean, this is much better than what we've seen from Zealots in part 1 of phase 2.
And we'll see if it's enough here as we go into game number 3. We'll be right back after a commercial break. We'll see if Fnatic can end this series, or if we'll have Roll20 bring it back.